So good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. There's quite a nice list of attendees today, so I was really excited to see all the. Venturini, I'm the executive director of the Wild Blueberry, and I wanted to take a chance here because there was such a broad audience attending to just take a minute to tell you what exactly the commission does and a little bit about our work. So we are tax funded, industry tax funded, dedicated to conserving and promoting the wild blueberry industry of Maine. The commission is involved in promotion and sometimes through our sister, which is the Wild Blueberry Association of North America. That carries out a lot of our promotional work. For example, they run a wild blueberry website. You can see right here, wildblueberries.com. Social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. We also foster and support our great University of Maine researchers, including Lily, who's hosting this call, and the folks pictured here, Jennifer Perry, Phil Fanning, Shauna Annis, and other folks that carry out wild blueberry research at the University of Maine. That support, it comes in a lot of forms, but probably one of the most important is through our advisory committee that funds a significant amount of wild blueberry research and extension work every single year. We're able to present today's workshop thanks to a grant we received last year from the Maine Department of Ag Conservation and Forestry. And the goal of this project is to increase the connectedness of you all to your markets by taking advantage of some of the latest in web marketing and sales platforms, and really to better enable your businesses to capture the high value markets in the Northeast primarily. Our project includes funds to support growers and businesses to get on board with these technologies, which is again why I encourage you to fill out that survey. So I'd just like to introduce you to today's presenters. We've got Amy, who's the CEO of Local Food Marketplace. And then after Amy gives her kind of demo and presentation and take some questions, then Joe will take the stage, and he's the CEO of Forager. I'll let them describe their platforms. They can do it far better than I can. So Amy, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. And let me know if the sound is okay. We have like 3 and 4 Zoom meetings going on our home internet connection here, and it was a little choppy, and I'm not sure if it's on my side or somewhere in between. So hopefully we've got good sound going here. All right, thank you so much. Hopefully everybody is seeing my screen now. Thank you everybody for organizing this session and for inviting us. We're super honored to be here and excited to learn more about what you all are doing, and also share a little bit about our platform and how we've worked with lots of growers around the US and Canada for the last 12 years or so. My name is Amy McCann. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Local Food Marketplace. And I have about maybe 20-25 minutes of information to share with you, but I am hoping you have some questions, and I'm happy to answer them. If you end up with questions after the session, or maybe they're super specific to your farm or your cooperative or what have you, I'm happy to set up follow-ups with anyone, either doing an in-depth demo or a phone call if you wanted to do a call and ask some questions that way. And my contact information is here on this slide, and I'll show it again at the end. And I'm sure if you reach out to Eric, if you don't end up writing my information down here, then Eric will be able to get the information over to you. And you can also, you're welcome to come to our website, and that information will make its way to me as well. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to share most of my session is a live demo, but I was going to give you just a little bit of background about us, since there's probably a number of folks on here that don't know That much about our platform or our company. So we've been around since 2009. And we started the company working with small farms to help them gain a competitive advantage in the global food system so that we could basically relocalize our food system. And since many of the folks on this call are small growers, you know that it's a complicated business. And in order to maximize your sales and profits, you're selling to all sorts of different types of sales channels, whether folks are coming to your farm to buy from you, or you're at a farmer's market, or maybe you have a CSA or work with CSAs or sell to food hubs, various cooperatives. And then of course the explosion of online markets this year. Our platform basically enables you to sell through all those different sales channels from one platform. We have about 11,000 producers on the platform, and that's up from about 5,200 on March 1st of 2020. So there's been a huge adoption of online systems, as many of you know, and likely one of the main reasons why lots of folks are here over the last 10 or 11 months. The biggest and most visible piece of what we offer is, of course, a branded online storefront. So it's branded for your farm or your farm cooperative or whatever entity it is that you're sort of branding and providing an online storefront. But perhaps just as importantly is that there's a full back-end system. And we're going to get a little into what those online storefront options look like, but what we really focus on is not only making it easy for your customers to buy from you, but also making it easy and streamlined for you to efficiently fulfill and distribute those orders in a way that reflects how your business operates. So that's really what we're all about, is sort of a farmer-friendly platform for online sales and farm management. Obviously, there's many different ways you can create an online storefront these days. There's pretty generic solutions out there that just about any online store could use, from Square to Shopify and such. And then there's some farm-specific ones. So what is it that we do that's unique in that sea of options? So I've mentioned this, and it'll sort of maybe hopefully not sound like a broken record, but we think it's really important. It's the ability to manage all of those channels in one platform rather than having to log in and manage information and share inventory across many different solutions, for whether you have an online storefront for your consumers versus wholesale versus possibly your CSA. The system allows you to manage everything from one, and not just basic management. It's very in depth. That results in a lot of time savings. Our farm customers save typically between 16 and 32 hours a week of admin time. And they also get a significant packing efficiencies with the platform compared to many of the other solutions out there. That translates into sales increases. And pre-COVID, that was about 45% sales growth after adopting the platform, and it's been 250% since. So obviously the return on investment of an online system has increased considerably with all the various dynamics that COVID has brought in play. We also help you save money. We do not charge transaction fees or per producer if you're a cooperative. But the way we have the system architected, it helps you save on transaction fees, the money that you pay the credit card companies, basically. I can dive into details on that, but generally speaking, you can save between 30 and 50%, depending on how you were processing previously. In terms of the best uses of the platform, we're well known as a platform for food hubs, cooperatives, and multi-farm sales. So we've been the market leader in that space for well over 10 years, and as evidenced by the probably about 250 food hub and cooperative entities utilizing the platform at this point. And it really just enables lots of efficiencies and automates lots of processes there. For single growers, this system is really critical for multiple sales channels. So not only, retail sales, which is what most people think of for having an online storefront, but also solutions for your wholesale buyers to interact with the solution for if you have a CSA or some sort of buying club type solution. Um, Really anything that you're selling locally and regionally, the platform is going to help you automate and really drive in that full relationship in the system. So whether you have different order minimums, different payment options for the different types of buyers, as well as payment terms, and all the different changes that you would need to do in order to manage those different types of sales. So. And lastly, the system is built for growth and flexibility, and this year was a very strong evidence of really how much that has come to fruition. Many of our customers, the beginning of 2020, planned on selling to higher ed and restaurants, and of course, in the matter of a weekend, that whole thing changed. And with our assistance and the platform, they were able to tweak the platform in sometimes a matter of hours to roll out an entirely new business plan for home delivery or something along those lines. So the system is really flexible, and I expect those adjustments to continue to be made as the market shifts this year and probably next year as well. So just to kind of build a little bit on that, is the platform right for your firm? Happy to dive into the specifics of what kind of needs you have, but just to share a few other details about the platform. In 2020, the average curbside pickup order was $59 across all of the sites that we support, compared to an average, depending on the information you look at, $15 to $30 is a typical farm-based curbside order. So an online order is generally resulting in a much larger order size compared to in-person sort of farm stand type order. The system is also really well set up to work with other producers. So there might be folks on here that are like, they may have tried to have an online ordering system, or maybe they're a little bit hesitant because they're worried about how much work it is. That's been a common refrain we've heard this year, and lots of folks have elected to work together to sort of reduce the combined effort and share, but also, really increase order size and frequency. So rather than having just a handful of products that your own firm might sell on your storefront, working with other producers to create a more complete product list and drive more sales through the online system, and at the same time reduce the heavy lifting that you might feel like you have to do to have an online system. Reaching more buyers is also really critical. For folks that were using the platform in 2019 and 2020, they saw an average of 150% growth of new buyers. And then of course, automation everywhere from the order all the way through the payment and all the steps in between. The system's going to help you automate those things. And specifically is providing farmer-friendly inventory management. So whether that's harvest to order for fresh product or inventoried product where you might have your value-added frozen items or jams or jellies or dried items, the system is able to manage both of those in one platform. So it's really comprehensive and powerful. I pulled some information from our database just to share with you. All those blue flags represent most of the farms and producers, about 100 or so missing where we don't have their final zip code information to be able to plop a pinpoint on there. But that's what the reach looks like in the Northeast with our platform. We support 37 food hubs, co-ops, and online markets throughout those states. And they averaged about $495,000 per online store that we supported in 2020. So pretty strong sales. And obviously those are a range that ranges from the very small folks that had, just a few sales to the largest that were, in the millions of dollars of sales. So, okay. Just one more profile piece of info, and then we'll dive into the demo. I just wanted to share about a farm that we support for a variety of reasons that I think are relevant to this conversation. You might be familiar with them. They're in Massachusetts, Kitchen Garden Farm. And of course, they've been utilizing our platform since 2014 for their own farm sales, and they not only use the system for their fresh food sales, but they also use it for managing their inventory for all their their growing value-added sets of products, including their sriracha, which they're most well known for. They won a Good Food Award for in 2017. They also have rolled out a new business with the platform, working with about 30 other growers in their area called the Sunderland Farm Collaborative. And that's been widely followed by folks and has been very successful for not only their farm, but their partner farms in the area that allowed them to pivot their sales from what was planned to be restaurant and higher ed to doing home delivery and some neighborhood pickup locations. So, all right, we're going to jump into the live demo here and just switch over. Okay. We're gonna do most of our demo on a demo site, but I wanted to bring up the Kitchen Garden storefront that we provide to them, just so you could get a sense on how it's branded for each of our customers, and you can see how their products are listed in the system and how they are offering these products in different sizes to their different buyers. So they're selling all of those through here. And in the back end, of course, managing all the availability for their fresh products, as well as all these value-added items that are sitting in their warehouse. So, okay, moving over to our demo site here. This is a sample site that we'll use, and what we're seeing here is some products that customers can buy. I've featured some items, put some wild blueberry items in here. These are not my images, and I have accreditation on the individual product pages. So just as an FYI there, but these products are, you can see these are the featured items. They appear at the top. And then of course we can see all the other product categories that are listed on this site. Okay. And the customer can order items in different sizes at different prices. As we get into the admin side of things, you'll see how we can configure the price for different customers depending on whether they're a consumer, retail customer, or they're a wholesale buyer, and also adjust order minimums and payment options and things along those lines. So it's basically adding items to my order here. As I add them, if I'm looking here at the fresh product, I can sell it by the pint, or in this case, a 12 count flat. And of course, we've got these different prices here. And what we're seeing is the number of pints and then flats, and those are sharing availability. Okay. So you've got different options for how you set products up so that they can either share availability across units, or they can be treated individually. So, and as that inventory available quantity is live information. So, and some folks choose to show that to the customer and some don't, but regardless, it is pulling information from your live availability. You don't have to be constantly updating and doing inventory checks. As long as you've got an inventory number that's accurate, the system's going to maintain itself. Okay. This site I'm using does have multiple farms listed here. So I can see some greens here from Very Good Producer, and then Blue Earth Farm, and so on. So I can add those items to my order as well. If you have an extensive product list, the shopping by category is really popular, where customers can shop kind of like they might through a grocery store, sort of aisle by aisle. And these categories you customize, and if customer clicks on greens, it'll show just the greens. They can also filter by producer. So if they're really love a couple of the farms that you sell along with, then they can filter for those and see the products from just that farm. Likewise, we can filter by attribute. So we can filter if there's SNAP, or if you accept SNAP or double up food box or something along those lines. We can filter the list, the customer can, in the shopping experience to know what's going to be eligible. Okay, so that's the overall shopping. We do have product setups in here for things like milk, if you collect deposits on things that are common with milk bottles, or if anyone is selling any weight-based items where it's a variable weight, the customer orders a 3 to 4 pound chicken, they're going to pay $3.25 a pound, but it's going to be somewhere between 3 and 4 pounds. When I pull it out of the freezer, then I'll enter the weight and it'll update their invoice accordingly. So, okay, so that's the order process, and just like very familiar, it should look very familiar. The customer in the checkout is just like any other checkout process, but we do focus on a single page checkout so that your regular customers are just in here, they place their orders, and then they're done. It's saving all their details about how they like to receive their order. This customer wants to get delivery and they're in the university neighborhood. They want to pay with their SNAP benefits. And then they've got their delivery and billing information here, and which they can update if they need to. Okay. Last but not least, of course, is they just confirm that order, and then they'll get a confirmation just like you would on any online order. The one thing that is unique about the system that's super popular, because it's an order period based system, so you sort of set up order windows, customers or place their orders, and then you have sort of a designed way of distribution, whatever that is. If it's pickup, curbside pickup at the farm, at a farmer's market, home delivery, what have you. This customer's ordering for tomorrow's order, and they have until 2 p.m. today, my time, to place that order, which means that they've placed this order, and now I can come in and realize that maybe I'm missing some things, and I can go ahead and add additional products to that order. Okay, so it just adds right to that order. Added a 7th item. Now I've got some kale in addition to the other items that were already on the order. That results in larger orders. Instead of folks going to the grocery store to pick those items up, they'll just come, and as long as they're within the order window, they can go ahead and order from you. Okay. All right. So we're going to now just dive briefly into the admin side of things and walk through some steps there. Run a couple of reports. And like I said, this is by no means a comprehensive demo. Really, it's just to kind of give you a sense on the options in here. And then if you want to learn more, I'm happy to set up meetings with folks. So what we're seeing here is your dashboard. It's giving you a summary, and you can look at a summary of your sales broken down into different ways, maybe by customer type, by delivery day, sorry about that. And you can also look at maybe a 6-month revenue comparison that'll compare month over month from the previous year and see how you're doing. And we also see the information for this week. We've got our order averages, margin percentages, and then sales numbers for the year. And any upcoming distributions are down here in the left-hand side. So all of that information is here. The products end up on the storefront from your availability. Okay, so basically the system keeps a database, so to speak, of all the products that you sell throughout the year, and when you have them available, you list them. And so what we're seeing here is all the products that we were looking at on the storefront that the customer that I was logged in as was able to purchase. Okay, so if we just filter for that Discover Wild Blueberries producer, we can see here the items that I had listed there. And so we've got product listed and how much is still remaining. So as those items are purchased, the number available is constantly getting updated. Right next door here, I can see how much inventory I have of that product. Okay, So the system is basically allowing you to sell items that you don't inventory, as well as items that you do have in inventory. Okay, so things like my frozen berries and my jams that I've already processed, they're sitting in my freezer or my warehouse. I've got a known inventory quantity. That's what I'm selling out of. Okay. So all of that information's managed in here. Now, the other thing I can do is I can sell that product at different prices. So we're looking at a fresh pint of those blueberries here, and I have different price levels. So those are all the different ways I might price that pint of blueberries. Okay. So I've got a bunch of different wholesale customers. I've got a retail price level. I can adjust those prices. Now, this is calculating things automatically based on some sort of percentage adjustment from a base price. Okay. You can override that and say, well, no, for my distributor customers, they pay $7.25 for a pint. Or maybe I don't actually even want to sell it to certain buyers that are larger. I want them to buy the flats of the blueberry. So I'm going to go ahead and hide these the pints from these wholesale buyers. Okay. And instead, if they were to log in, they would only see the flats available for them to purchase. Okay. And likewise, we can adjust the prices of the flats of blueberries as well, so that we sell them at different prices depending on the buyer and your relationship with that buyer. And so you can utilize that in a lot of different ways. Some people use it to adjust for area that they're selling into, for the volume that the customer is purchasing, something along those lines. You can utilize the system for those kinds of things. And basically anybody with the grocery price level, if they were to log in, the price of the flats they would see would be $91.20 at this moment. Okay. I can override that sort of base price and, put them on sale, or maybe adjust it for this particular moment. And that allows me to set that price accordingly. Okay. We're not going to get too deep into the inventory management, but other than for you to see here, you can see when that inventory came in, and how much is remaining of it as well. So if I were to go into my inventory, I would see all my inventory in the system and when it arrived and my best buy dates and things along those lines. So, okay. We're gonna kind of skip over some different aspects of the system and look a little bit at just sort of order packing very briefly, and then we're gonna get into some reports before I hand this off. And by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to, I think there's probably a little chat window. Maybe that's the best way to put a question in, and then I can go and look at that. So as your orders come in, they all appear in here. So I can always see my orders, who is receiving it. And this is my orders for just this week, by the way. And I can see all the items that customer has ordered. Okay. I can take this and I can also sort it in a different way. Okay. So I can see all of my products together. Got a bunch of CSA boxes there. Sorry about that. Scroll down a little bit. But I can see my arugula and who's providing it, what customers have purchased it, and see all this information in one place. And as I pack them, I can, check those items off, as well as see what inventory information I have right from here. Okay. We have packing lists and all sorts of printable materials as well. Okay. All of that's built in here. We do offer integration with route optimization systems, and as well as driver tools for anybody who does home delivery and any sort of delivery along those lines. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go into look at a couple of reports, and this will kind of pull some things together for you. I'll show you a couple of sales reports first. You can run your sales reports in a variety of different ways. So I'm just going to run a sales by product report, for instance, and perhaps from the beginning of last year, oops, to the end. So we'll run it for the entire 2020. Okay, there we go. And we can do that for all of our products, or maybe I just want to run it for just my leafy greens or just certain product categories. Okay. So that shows up here. This is giving me my list of products that I sold of all of 2020. And we've got all of the items. We've got arugula, how much we've sold, my cost and sales for just that product category. I could run it over across all of my products as well. But this gives me my sales numbers for that category for 2020. Likewise, I could run a report if I wanted to for perhaps sales by customer. So a lot of folks that were selling to restaurants were wanting to kind of just assess how things went with restaurants, perhaps comparing to the year before, and we can run that as well. I'm not going to filter by category this time. I'll just do for all products just to see and maybe make some projections for 2021, expecting maybe 2021 looks a lot like 2020. And what I'm looking at here is 2019 versus 2020 and my relative sales adjustments that happened. And this is by restaurant customer. Okay. I can look at this broken down by product as well and you know, detailed sales information, but sometimes this just helps get some basic information. Some other reports here that folks really find helpful this time of year is looking at product unit sales by month. So perhaps again, you're trying to look at information from 2020 and I'm just going to filter for our wild blueberry grower here. I don't have a ton of orders, I'll just warn you, but I threw a couple in there just last minute, but you'll see here how it's giving me what I sold by each product and how much I sold in each month, and then total over those months that I've just filtered for. So I only sold stuff in January and then not till October. But you can see dollar totals as well as quantity totals of each item. And a lot of our customers use this report for planning sales for the year. And then there's this information also broken down by customer. And this can be really helpful for working with buyers to make a sales plan. If you've got some larger buyers, you can use this to make a sales plan for working with them in that particular year. So, okay. We have all sorts of other things in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's any questions. Let's see, how can I do that?
Yeah, Amy, there are a few questions.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. I'm having a hard time seeing the chat window, but I'm sure it's just me.
That's okay. I can read them to you.
Okay.
Do you get involved in delivery?
We ourselves don't do delivery, but the platform helps you manage your deliveries. So we have a full distribution system. We integrate with a route optimization solution called Routific. So if you're doing lots of home deliveries, it's a really good way to just optimize those routes so you can make sure you're getting them done as efficiently as possible. But basically the system, the way this works is it loads you set up your delivery routes, and the system loads those routes according to how you may have previously mapped those routes and or how Routific has optimized them. You've got different choices, but then this is a route your driver, and this is all mobile optimized, so it looks a little bit funny on the computer. It's designed mostly to be used on the phone. Let's see if I can grab the edge here and so you can see it a little bit better. They can mark orders as delivered, get customer signatures, driver notes, and things along those lines. So yeah. And then as they, do those deliveries, that information comes back into the system for, the home office notifications and such. So, yeah.
Okay. Next question is, if a farmer has a non-food item to sell, does this platform charge a sales tax?
You can mark any items that are taxable as taxable in the system, and then it will calculate sales tax according to whatever the rates are that you need to charge. So yes, you can do that.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Do you get involved with shipping internet sales?
I wondered if that was going to come up. Not too much, to be perfectly honest. Most of our customers use the platform primarily for local regional sales. It's not exclusively that way, but for the most part, that's how folks use the system, is for their local regional sales. If there are items that are sold outside the local area, whether that's on the system, you can assume like a delivery fee per order for, folks that are farther away, and the system will add that to an order just like it would a delivery fee for a local customer, but perhaps more. But it doesn't factor in like UPS rates based on how far they are away from you or something along those lines.
Yeah, I know there's some blueberry growers who will ship like 5 or 10 pound boxes of berries across the country. So it's
Oh, I
pretty
bet.
expensive. It's expensive to ship, and it's a little complicated because they'll put a freezer pack in there and or ship it on dry ice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more question.
Yep.
How do farms utilize your system and inventory with any direct sales they may have on the farm?
Got it. That's a great question. So at the moment, you can record direct sales in the system. Later this spring, we have an integration with Square Terminal coming, where it will automatically update your availability from orders that you made on farm or at the farmer's market. So,
Okay.
provided
Wonderful.
they use Square Terminal. I should say, yeah, we just surveyed the farms using our platform to get a little feedback on that particular topic, actually, and found that I think it was 82% of folks that do in-person sales are using Square Terminal. So that's the integration we're going to start with. I know there's several others out there, but that seems to be the most widely adopted one. So
yeah, so people might not know what Square Terminal is. That's just the white square that you put your credit card into.
yes, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, exactly. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, Amy, I have one.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a list of places that buy from your website or through this program for local areas? I'm from Milo, and of course, Dexter and Dover and Brownville would be in my area, but do you have a list of purchases that are in my area?
We have, so basically, I think that's probably going to be a question better addressed to Joe, who's coming up next. Our platform is, we can definitely put you in touch with folks that use the platform that are doing local food sales, and I'm sure would love to have products that they don't have already available to them to sell. In fact, a number of our customers in Massachusetts, I know, sell products from folks, some wild blueberry products from Maine. So that said, I can kind of maybe put you in touch with some folks, but our system is primarily not at this moment about a matchmaking. Like, we're not bringing necessarily the buyers to you directly. We don't have relationships with the buyers. It's a way for you to create an online platform and then, have your buyers discover you and or send them to the system to place their orders. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate everyone's time and for listening.
Okay, should I jump in or?
Yeah, please.
Well, great. It's great to meet everybody. I know I was introduced up at the top as well, but just to reconnect, I'm the Joe that Amy was just talking about. I lead a company called Forager. I'm going to start to share my screen and talk a little bit. And Richard, your question, as Amy pointed out, is really a good kind of jumping off point between presentations. So good momentum there to move over. So I'm just going to share my screen and pick up there. So I'll ask as well. Everyone can see this okay? Cool. Okay, great. So as I said, I run a company named Forager. I have a personal, I'll just get this working here. There we go. A personal connection to Maine blueberries. I grew up in Maine outside the Portland area in Gorham. My dad met an independent grower when I was a kid, and over the course of some connections there and over a number of years, I built and ran a local blueberry stand in Gorham on Route 114 on the way up to Sebago Lake. Blunda's blueberry stand. There's a picture of me in here. I'm the handsome one on the left, of course. The one on the right is my older brother, John. And that's us in front of a whole bunch of blueberries from Vienna. And so I have just a great love of what I'm talking about today and who I'm talking to about it. Was very appreciative when Amy and Eric, in the course of their conversations, involved me in that conversation. I was doing the math and almost exactly a year ago, actually. And just have really enjoyed, on behalf of Forager, the work we're doing with Eric and Lily and the team here. So what I'm going to cover today, it's going to look very similar to what you just saw in terms of the pieces I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover a little bit of slide content, talk a little bit about what we do, and then move into showing you the demonstration of our platform and our capabilities, and then create some space at the end, as Amy did, for any questions that may come up. So what does Forager do? We, I think this is a good slide to discuss it. Our mission is to make local food more widely available for everyone, but we do that by removing the cost and friction in the procurement process. But I think a better way to explain that, based on what the conversation and the presentation before, is that we focus at Forager on making it as easy for buyers, and these would be volume buyers, retailers, some food service that's at scale, and others of size. We focus on making it as easy to buy from local vendors, whether it's fresh product, frozen product, or shelf stable or non-food items. As easy to buy from those vendors as it is to buy from broadline, mainline distribution, where a lot of, as you all know, a lot of product moves. So a retailer would partner with Forager if they wanted to significantly increase the efficiency of what they're already buying in terms of how they buy it, or significantly increase the amount they're buying. So grow volume, grow diversity of suppliers, things like that. We have teamed with Eric and the Blueberry Commission specifically to achieve two goals. One is to provide more connections to sell product through retailer and comparable wholesaler connections, and to provide a technology backbone, an environment to transact. Buyers of high volumes, as you can imagine, really rely on their own internal technology systems in most instances, and require that anything they do, any type of buying they do for any kind of product at the local level, integrate or relate to those systems efficiently, or they won't be able to scale up their buying. They won't be able to buy more because the people they work with will resist that. I think a number of folks on the phone probably understand this better than I'm laying it out, but there it is. So that's goal number one: more connections to retailers and other scale buyers. Goal number two is, as a result of that, to expand real demand for Maine wild blueberries and all of its derivative products with retailers who will pay fair price for the crop. So this is a very important thing. Eric laid out at the top of the call here, at the top of this session, that it's not just about growing, it's about growing profitably and sustainably, financially sustainably. And that is our commitment at Forager, to introduce and build connections for growers and buyers that are economically healthy. So our job in this, as you know, would be to find retailers and wholesalers who want to buy direct and link them with growers on the platform. Forager is not a middleman. We don't get in between direct relationships. We create direct relationships and then build a backbone to make them more successful and efficient. And then the commission's job has been to help attract retailers to Forager and to help attract growers. We've never had, frankly, much trouble attracting growers. I believe we have 15 Maine wild blueberry growers on the platform already. We've been around since about 2015, and so some of those are multi-year relationships. We just onboarded our latest grower last week to start working with Maine General Health System. And so we're continuing to grow and expand with the grower population here. Obviously, as you guys know, you have an amazing product. It is the original functional food, if you will. And it's just in an excellent position in the market to grow right now with where consumers have moved as a result of various impacts from COVID and where retailers are increasingly catching up. You all may know that many grocery stores don't buy a lot of local food. And so we are really at a moment where grocers are trying to react to those consumer trends and figure out what products and what growers and what technologies they can use to bolt everything together and grow their local food buying. So I'll show you in a moment, but the core concept of Forager is that it's pretty light, pretty simple on the supplier side. It's not designed, it doesn't have any of the back-end functionality that Amy was talking about. It's designed much more to make buyers, provide buyers with that functionality and be simple and easy to update on the supplier side. Because we are not, we're not your primary system for managing your operations or for managing non-retail channels, non-wholesale channels. We are not a solution for providing you with a storefront for consumer purchasing, for CSAs, or anything like that. We are very specifically designed to get you into volume buyer relationships. Forager, as I'll show you, manages the full life cycle of an order from a larger customer. We provide them with ordering, receiving capabilities, invoice capabilities, so you don't have to show up with POs, payment capabilities, so that you don't have to be waiting for hard copy checks. A lot of people still do that. And rich analytics on the back end so that they can optimize their growth and achieve growth at a faster rate than they would if they didn't really have good data and good information about how they were doing that. For you as the grower, obviously there's a great deal of efficiency as those buyers increase their volumes and increase the efficiency of their relationships with you. Not a lot of phone tag going on once you're on Forager, frankly, and an increasing efficiency and simplicity for order management with that channel of sales. So I'm sure, in the chat, which I don't have visual on right now, but if there are any questions at this moment, I'll just pause. Lily, has anything come up before I kind of keep moving? Okay, I'll assume that's a no. So we have a pretty large presence. We were founded in Portland, Maine by a serial tech entrepreneur named David Stone. He's an interesting, eccentric guy, very successful in other areas, but very passionate about local food. David recruited me a couple years ago to take over the company. He's getting on in years and wanted to make sure that Forager had the energy that it needed, and so brought me in to do that. We have grown significantly in Maine and now in multiple other areas of the country. We have over 170 active suppliers in Maine alone on the platform, and we will do at minimum, I think we'll probably do a little more when we see the final numbers, but over $3 million of food transactions in Maine. And this is, again, all wholesale, all larger volume customers. I guess I'll move on from there. We have a number of customers. This has since grown. But we had, I think at the start of last year, at the start of 2020, about 20 to 25 retailers. That has roughly doubled and is about to increase significantly with a couple of new deals we have. So we are, really growing as a result of this. Again, as grocers primarily try and rebuild their local food supply chains after, in many cases, decades of neglect or avoidance. And so we're really in a position where grocers are working to partner to, again, make it as easy to buy from many small vendors at local levels as it is to buy from big old distributors as they have for years, unfortunately. So here's a smattering of some examples. Richard, to your question, we can provide you with a list. We can also talk to you about who you're working with now. And if you're a fit for a retail program or a food service partner that we have going, then we can definitely get you or anyone else on this call into that relationship. We are always asking our retailers, you know, what are your requirements for any new particular product category they're looking for or anything like that. And as part of this, of course, we are pushing on people actively to stand up new blueberry supply. We think, given the state of most fresh procurement programs in grocery stores in the Northeast, that there is a lot of volume opportunity if we can get them moving on this particular product. You know, there's a lot of opportunity to put real Maine blueberries in the hands of people, including, I hope, fresh this summer. So I'm going to pause here and move into the demo as well. I'm going to show you there are two sides of Forager. There's the buyer side, which is, again, a very rich, busy environment relatively. It's where buyers manage their entire local food supply chain. I'm going to show you the supplier side, what Forager would look like to you. It's fairly simple and straightforward, again, because it's not intended to be a full solution for your operations management. It's really intended to link your inventories and your products to the customers that you have in volume programs. So this is the interface, and I'll just reconfirm, I've just switched tabs, but everyone can still see okay?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so this is an example. This is just a supplier account on Forager. In here, you can set various parameters that retailers and other partners need to see on their side of the Forager platform. You can provide updates around logistics, new products, whatever you need to do. It's comparable. I think many of you are familiar and use weekly inventory lists that you're emailing out, maybe Excel documents or PDFs or whatnot. This would be comparable to the, yes, Lily.
Joe, it might be helpful if you could zoom in a little bit. The page looks really small. That's
How's that?
better. There, that's better.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll give it one more for good measure here.
Thanks.
So this is this is the update environment. You're able to just go in and edit each of these and provide context for what's going on with you as a supplier to your buyer. My truck, you know, my van needed work. I'm running one day late on deliveries this week, or a couple hours late, or I had an unusually large bumper crop of something, or I'm going to be introducing a new product in the next couple of weeks. Anything that's needed, it shows up on the dashboard of Forager for your buyers, so that they have immediate information about what you want to communicate. Here is some basic key business information. It is amazing how many retailers confessed to us as we were onboarding them and talking to them that they don't know your phone number, they don't know your website or email address, or they don't have it in one place. So when they need to communicate with you, they Google it or they look you up and they grab the number. Easy fix, we fixed it. We are increasing this spring the sophistication of some of this information and incorporating more marketing content as well, as retailers work harder and harder through digital marketing channels, social media, to tell the story of the people they're working with and why their products are so unique. So this is where you fill in your business information, and then ordering information, any order minimums, any timing that's required, any delivery information that's needed, details around shipping costs, or yeah, just anything that you need so that someone knows that they're going to see those in their order when they generate one in Forager. And then really the meat of Forager from a day-to-day perspective is the availability manager. Here it is down here on the bottom. It is separated into a couple of different tabs. The first is available and limited. It is all of the product that is currently available from you on Forager. It's what any of the retail partners that you want to see that particular product will see it as available if you've marked it as available. Then there's the unavailable tab, same situation. This is, I think, probably pretty straightforward. This is product that you would have over the course of a year, but is not currently available. Either you're out of stock or it's out of season. And then it's full list of everything you've got. And then there's something called deals. It's something we added this summer that's been pretty successful, where you are able to take any product in your availability list in your inventory on Forager and promote it through a deal, run a discount, run a volume discount, whatever you want to do. It's pretty flexible. to be able to show that to a retailer and move some more product or build interest in a new product that you have. So just briefly, Forager is designed, the concept, the use concept we have is that you are walking through your field or your winnowing space, your pack space, your freezer, what have you, and you're able essentially on a smartphone with your thumb to be updating your Forager availability. We have both quantity-based inventory and what I call triage inventory, which is availability in abundance, which is this green check, availability in a more limited way, and I just clicked on that once with the orange, or then if you click it again, it becomes unavailable and moves over to your unavailable list. And then, you know, you can identify something as available pretty quickly. Obviously in this demo, what has been done is that the frozen is currently available, but we had set the fresh as unavailable for, you know, reasons that I'm sure make sense. So this is the basic functionality. A couple more things to draw attention to. One is in any particular product, you can switch between types of inventory, whether you have a quantity-based inventory or whether you have a triage-based inventory. You can identify something as a new product, and this again alerts buyers on the other side of Forager's platform that there is a product either newly in season or newly available from you that wasn't before. It alerts them to something they might want to buy. Again, pretty successful. And then down through here is the rest of the detail that's required. The product category, its name and configuration, any additional descriptions you want to provide, any product codes that are required. Quite often we are asked to put PLU or UPC data in where it is relevant, even on the fresh side by retailers. So that's in there. And then configurations of unit and sale. And then lastly down here is where you decide whether or not a product is visible to a particular partner you have, a particular retailer, and then what your price is for that product. So the do not list for this customer or local market, and then the price configuration that you want to use. As part of Forager's work with retailers on behalf of suppliers, we provide a marketplace environment, which is also getting a pretty significant expansion this spring. And it is designed for discovery. It's designed for when we are not actively working on growing a retailer's program at any given time, or if we are and just haven't moved to a certain product category, a retailer can still go into Forager and find product they are interested in. And so we ask every supplier to list essentially a default price, which like Market One, for example, would be a default price, a price that's shown in that marketplace environment so that suppliers understand, buyers understand that they're staring at a product that fits within the realm of their pricing options and can work with that producer. So very simple, very straightforward, intentionally so. I'm going to discard my changes for now. The last thing to show you briefly is price lists. You are able to, in Forager, associate different customers into single price lists. So all the restaurants in Bangor, all the food service in the UMaine system, or PFG North if you're doing business with them, you're able to put price lists in here that identify those customers or those customer groups that you want to use. And the purpose of that is so that you can use Forager to show your availability to people you're not already working with. So our marketplace provides you exposure to retail or food service partners we have that you're not doing business with. We take on that role and help you do it. But you also have at Forager the ability to show another wholesale customer what's available on the platform so that you can get them on and get them ordering from you. And that appears down here. So that is the Forager environment. I'm going to switch back here to kind of closing. I do want to cover, just as a last bit, the benefits of joining it. It's about access to new retailers and wholesalers who want to buy at fair prices. Help presenting your brand and capabilities to buyers. We are increasingly integrated into the category management process with larger retailers who go through a quarterly, monthly, hopefully not less frequently than that, process of looking at everything on their shelves or in their cases and deciding how they can get more local product and new product into those spaces. So that planning process, we're increasingly harmonized with that and presenting brands like yours in that space. And then a more efficient procurement process, you know, as local food marketplace has shown, you know, I think with a little more focus, as Amy said, on retail channels right now, on consumer channels. It's so much more efficient when you adopt digital ordering, you know, platform technologies to manage the procurement that you're going through. No more phone tag, no more email tag on Forager. Growers see a significant increase in efficiency. And by the way, an increase in volume with retail partners, just the confidence and the clarity that comes with setting up a digital backbone and getting clarity on orders and communications. We see on average an 11% increase in volume with existing suppliers. So if you right now are transacting with Tradewinds or something like that, and you get on the platform and bring your retailer, or we bring your retailer on, the relationship you have with them, whatever volume it was, on average will increase over 10% just by moving to a digital procurement environment and getting into one of these programs. We provide aggressive support and we push hard on retailers to grow their volumes. So we do a lot of the work of attracting retailers to your brand and then attracting volumes to the relationships we help you build. And so we really are out there, even though we are very buyer focused, our goal is to increase the amount of local food and to help grow the volumes and the businesses that are listening to me right now. So I think that's about it. I would mention that as Amy did, and as Andrew, I'm sorry, Eric would mention, getting in touch with us as a follow-up. I'm happy to do one-on-ones. I'm happy to put you with our customer success team, which is actively making new connections as part of this program, new buyers on the platform and new growers on the platform, specifically for blueberries and their products. That's Emily@goforager.com. In addition, you can just visit our website, which is www.goforager.com, and you can fill out an interest form and we'll get back to you certainly within 24 hours, usually faster. So that's kind of where I'm gonna pause it. Any questions for me?
There is one question that came directly to me in the chat. This grower wants to add a few new accounts. Can we control this? I'm not sure.
Not sure I understand.
Yeah, Lee or Everett, can you explain a little more?
Well, we worry that we might oversell, so we like to control our wholesale buyers. We don't want too many of them. I worry that if we put our products on this Forager site, we might be inundated.
That's a good problem to have. The answer is no. You have the choice both to list on our marketplace or not. So you can decide not to be discoverable by retailers. You also have the choice, any retailer we might want to bring to you or bring you to, you have the choice to say that's just not for us. So you would never, if you want on Forager, have a buyer see you or work with you that you don't want to deal with.
What we really want is to connect with 2 or 3 buyers and make a long-term relationship. We have to expose our product.
I'm sorry, I heard the first part of that, Lee, but I think you, at least for me, you broke up toward the end. Was that just me?
Do we have to expose our product to everybody on Forager?
You don't. You don't. I heard that last part about exposing your product. No, you don't. It's entirely up to you. And we'll work with you for what you want. If you want to meet 2 or 3 buyers, if you're fit for any of the buyers that we're starting to work with or could be working with, then we'll get you on the platform and start working with you on that. If then we'll wait until we've got something for you. But even if you're already on the platform working with buyers and part of our program, you do not have to be shown to anybody who you don't want to see. What else, guys?
How much does it cost?
So for the vast majority of our partnerships, it is free, entirely free for suppliers. There are, I think when you're getting into larger grocers, regional players, there is some desire on the part of them to have you guys share some of the costs, at which point we put a small markup on top. But we're only talking about large retail programs for 90% of what's available and what's likely to occur on Forager. There is zero cost to the supplier.
Yeah, Joe,
Yeah.
we manage 1 acre of wild blueberries that we've had for 20 years. We manage it organically. 1 year, without really even trying, we picked 260 pounds. Would your site make it feasible for someone of our size?
It's possible that we would have a retailer who either wants to increase the diversity of what they're buying, or we do have some smaller retailers who I think would be a great match for that kind of volume. So it's possible. I would say it's it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
What is, that's kind of where I'm going. What is the average, maybe that isn't, they don't have that, but for a small grower, what would be the average amount of product that they would put into Forager?
So some growers are going to put all of their product in. I think for the most part, growers start putting product in consistent with, just the demand. They're going to know at some level what the demand level is that's on Forager and what it's composed of. Which customers are you working with on Forager? What are they likely to buy from you? That's part of the connecting conversation we have for you with retailers, or we create for you that you have with the retailer or the food service partner. As an example, Maine General is probably going to do about $400,000 of blueberry purchases this year. That is something that can be fulfilled by 1 or 2 suppliers, maybe a primary supplier and a secondary additional supplier. So if you are on the program and you're someone of a little more volume and you have those 2 or 3 retailer connections, then it's going to be pretty clear to you what kind of inventory you need to put into the equation. Okay. Anything, last call, anything on the chat or anything else?
I was typing, but I'm way too slow, so I'll just jump in here. I was just going to mention or ask, I guess, knowing that especially in our wild blueberry world, weather and other issues can be so variable here. So just how your system can help us easily adapt to that if all of a sudden we've got all these orders and get 3 or 4 straight days of rain and can't harvest.
Yeah. Part of that is communication. Part of it, I think, is careful inventory management and availability management on the platform. And then the rest of it is, SHIT happens, and it's our job, our customer success team's job to help you manage that with customers. I can tell you, as you might imagine, that if you, a retailer may have relationships with a couple of growers. If one grower says on a given day, we just got washed out, or there was, I remember when I sold blueberries, there was a hailstorm, right? Not an unusual occurrence, and it decimated one field. And so that happened overnight and wasn't predicted. And of course, you can't imagine what the damage is until you see it. So under those circumstances, that's a normal occurrence in the fresh space. And so we may work with a buyer to source that from another supplier temporarily, but we would also work with you to just manage communication with the buyer and make sure the buyer understands that, as they all typically do, that this is just nature taking its course and everyone needs to work together to get past it. Not too surprising, one of the major anxieties buyers have about scaling up local food is volume and consistency of supply, though. So obviously something we work on all day, every day.
What seems to be attractive is that there are multiple blueberry sellers or sellers of a product on here. So like if one person didn't have it, that buyer could still get the product from somebody else.
They can, although I would caution that Forager is intentionally not a spot buying environment. We emphasize with retailers building trusted relationships with suppliers, establishing forecast-based sales plans with them, and agreeing ahead of a season on at least minimum volumes and things like that, so that no one's trying to outbid each other in the moment, or no one is able to, no one really loses position over something bad that happens for a day because someone else is out there in the marketplace. I think if there are consistent issues with performance from a retailer's perspective, Forager, that creates an obligation on our part to widen the lens a little bit and help them with their supply chain. But we are not an environment where on a given day, if you're a buyer and you don't already have a couple of relationships with growers, if that's what you need, that you're going to be able to establish a relationship with a grower on the same day. We can do that if it's absolutely vital, but that's not our intent in the marketplace.
Oh, if several small growers developed a co-op for fresh pack, would you work with those people?
Absolutely, would love to do that.
That would soften the possibility that you might have failure.
Yeah, and at a certain level, it certainly, it removes some of the pressure that you have competitively with each other. It helps you all meet a volume level and de-risk your work together to de-risk your work. Okay, well, last call for questions, I guess. Okay, well, Eric, Lily, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You can take it back.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Lily, for organizing this. Lily, I'll hand it back to you.
Oh, I didn't know, Eric, if you had anything for the people who are like signed up to be part of this project.
Yeah, not really at this point. I'd encourage folks to reach out to Joe and to Amy. In regard to the LFM, the local food marketplace part of the project, fill out your survey so that we can finish getting our pool of participants to randomly select from. So if you have any interest in that, then fill out that survey and you'll get an email.
Okay, great. And Amy, if you want to put your email in the chat, or you can tell me what it is and I'll type it in. Great. Good. That was really informative. And yeah, I hope some of you take advantage of these platforms. I think it's great.
It's great to meet everybody. Look forward to working with some of you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it and for listening. Yeah, and good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Have a good Friday. Bye-bye.